You know, we talk about waking up all the time. And today, I wanted to share with you perhaps a different viewing point. Something that was shared with me by Spirit many years ago, a few years ago. And I would like for you to walk with me as I share with you today. You know, Jesus used to speak in parables. And people would take what he said at whatever level that served them or they could understand. So, walk with me and let's see if we can go on this little journey together. All right. A couple of years ago, I was meditating and I was taken to a vision. And there was two mountain sides, and on the top of the little hill of rises were trees and greenery. And it was just dirt going down into this ravine. And the ravine was very deep, and the sides were very steep. And in the ravine were hordes of people. Just masses and masses of people moving quickly. Like shoulder to shoulder, no room to navigate. And, you know, there was a little bridge that connected the two sides, but it was kind of isolated and by itself. And Jesus Christ was sitting on the top of the embankment, under the trees and the shade. And Spirit said to me, Cindy, let us show you where you are. I said, okay. And in the middle of the ravine of all the people pushing and shoving and shoulder to shoulder and everybody focused on getting somewhere, there I was with my little bag of jewels going, excuse me, here, would you like a spiritual jewel? Here, let me give you a jewel. And I am almost frantic trying to get people's attention. Can I give you something? And they're like, oh no, oh yeah, stick in my pocket, jewels are falling on the floor. And I'm working very diligently. And Spirit said to me, how effective are you, Cindy? Follow me. And they took me up, and I sat next to Jesus Christ. In the shade, it was great. And they said, watch. And a little bird came up to Jesus, and Jesus held out a crumb, and the bird took the little crumb and went away. And I said, but what about the people? And then a man came up to Jesus, navigated the ravine, came up to Jesus, took a crumb, and went back down to the ravine. And they said to me, you know, people cannot receive until they're ready to receive. People cannot receive until they're ready to receive. And there's nothing you can do to force them to receive. It is better that you sit up here and wait until they come to you. And then they'll receive what they need. And some will go back into the throne and do the best they can. But at least they will have gotten something that will serve them. And that was pretty much a very clear message for me at the time. But I was still worried about my brothers and sisters, because you know, I worry about my brothers and sisters. And you know, my job has been to navigate the ravine with them. So am I going to give up my job very easily? No, I'm going to argue my position. And I'm going to say, but how can I help them? And then as I'm watching the vision, there is an earthquake. And the world begins to shake, and the people begin to scurry, but they can't make it up the side because they don't know how. They don't have the consciousness to climb up to get to safety. A few make it to the bridge, and they stand there, and that's as far as they can go. And then Spirit was very clear. Change has to come for people to wake up. And change is always about growth. For many, many people, the only way they will change is if the world shatters around them. It's the only way they'll reach out to change. Now, we've all had that, haven't we? For me personally, you know, I've been to the wall in my life. You've all heard my stories. When I left corporate without a job, I've got to serve God, I've got to go to school, I've got to get ordained, I've got to do my work. And people said, you're crazy, but I had no choice. And as I did, everything fell in front of me, and I had a part-time job that paid me as much as my full-time job. Let me say this again. I got a part-time job that paid me as much as my full-time job so that I could go to school and get on with my path. I have been up against the wall in relationships. I've been up against the wall in my youth. You all don't hear many of my youth stories because I have this motto. I never tell my stories if I'm not a hero in them. My youth stories, I am not a hero. But it took, I was living working very hard. I've always worked very, very, very hard. I was capable of partying and working 80 hours a week at the same time.
There were a number of us that
I'm not alone. And I remember going nowhere, and my grandmother died. And just that realization, that moment where her spirit contacted me, it was like, oh my, am I messing up or what? And she never said a word to me. She was loving. Oh, I love you. But it took a very dramatic wake-up call for me to shift. It took a very dramatic, uncomfortable moment for me to shift. It took so many crises for me to shift. And what were those but earthquakes in my trench? Do you understand? There were earthquakes in the trench that I was walking. And that's why I so diligently for the next 10, 15 years served the people in the trench. Let me help them. Let me show them. They don't have to wait for an earthquake. It hurts when the quake comes. Jump up now. You can jump up now. We have to change. We have to change. And we have a choice. We can wait until we are challenged to the point that we can stand it no longer. Or we can simply come up for a morsel of food. Even if you go back in the trenches. And as I say this, what I want you to hear, some of you guys are partying in the middle of the trenches. But I know you're coming up for food because you're here. You see? I know you're coming up for a morsel of food. How much time you sit up here, I don't know. Do you have a little seat down below? Where you jump out and come sit up a couple steps and watch everything? I don't know. You know. You know. But we're all in the moment now where our world is changing all around us, isn't it? Mm-hmm. It's changing all around us. You know, we had the hottest day in our record. Interesting. Could be a precursor of a bigger change. We don't know. Everything is changing. Are we letting these changes be gentle stimulation for us to change? Or are we going to wait till it's so hot we can hardly stand it, and now we have to change? Okay. Jesus Christ and I, sitting at the top of the hill with the beautiful shade, are in just as much of a state of matter as the people who are fighting for position in the ravine. It's matter. There's trees. It's cool. It's nice. We have this idea that if we want matter, we've got to get in the trenches and fight. We've got to get down there and move matter and make it real for us. But we don't. It's just as real at the higher level. Somewhere in our consciousness, we still have this deep ravine that separates our beliefs of the world and God, of what I have and my spirituality. And I guarantee you, if you don't have food on the table, you know where most of you look? At your wallet, at your job, at borrowing money, at whatever you need to do to make matter move. You get in those trenches and you start shaking people down. I need food. Do you turn to the Father, Mother, God and say, my focus has been interesting because I don't have food. So I must not be paying attention to my life. Spirit, I need some food. Do you understand? God is in all things. In the Sermon on the Mount, which has kind of become the crux of our theological positioning with Jesus and God, and Jesus is saying, blessed are the meek, for they will inherit the earth. Blessed are those who seek, for they'll be fed. Blessed are the pure in heart, for they shall see God. And we've taken all those blessed arts and we've made them spiritual and emotional. If I am pure in heart, I will see God. Okay, that's pretty otherworldly, isn't it? Blessed are the meek. I'm going to be meek, and then I'll get the earth. I'll receive the earth. What is the earth but matter? When he was speaking these things, he wasn't speaking just spiritually. He was speaking here too, on the earth plane too. Blessed are the meek, they're going to inherit the earth. The meek actually did, according to Dr. Errico, inherit the wealth and property of a landowner if he died with no heirs. It was common practice. It was a law. The meek do inherit the earth. The earth, the things. You will be fed. There will be food put into your body. And as he's teaching this Sermon on the Mount, and you guys know what I'm talking about, all the blessed this, blessed that, we all think, well, if I'm going to be following the teachings of Christ, I need to be pure of spirit, and that will take care of everything. Pure of spirit, when I die, everything's going to be okay. But he goes on to say, God cares for those, this is in the Sermon on the Mount. We haven't shifted gears here. This is in the talk. He says, God cares for those who trust in him and serve the race. And this is when he says, behold the birds. They praise God in their sound. The earth is made more glorious by their ministry of joy, and God keeps them in the hollow of his hand. Not a sparrow falls to earth without his care. Behold the flowers. They trust in God and grow. They make the earth resplendent with their beauty and perfume. The lilies of the field, the messengers of love. No son of man, not even Solomon in all his excellence, was ever clothed like one of these. And yet they simply trust in God, and they feed from his hand. If God so clothes and feeds the flowers and the birds that do his will he not feed and clothe his children when they seek and trust in him? Matter. Blessed are matter. God is in your matter. God is your world. God is not separate from. People are talking about a lot of changes that they're anticipating coming. You know? Well, what happens if they do? What happens if they do come? If I'm sitting on the side of the mountain with Jesus, and I'm knowing God's in all the matter that's in my world, how am I going to react? It's not going to affect me. It's not a part of my matter. Because if I'm sitting with Jesus on the side of the mountaintop, I am believing that all things work together for good. I am living in the consciousness that God provides for me, and I am not going to experience that struggle. If I am in the trenches, trying to hand out my gems to the rest of my brothers and sisters, I might get trampled. And I have been trampled in the past. Am I making sense?
Yes.
Wake up to your own light. Wake up to your own divinity. Wake up to the fact that God is not separate from your bills. Now, let me be a little more clear about that. When you incurred that debt, was God a part of it? Or was it just you? Did your higher self say, yes, you need that beautiful dress, you love it, swipe that card? Well, if your higher self said swipe that card, by golly, yeah, Bill's going to get taken care of. But if your higher self said swipe that card, go get your shoes too, and then you said, oh, I'm on a roll, let me go get 3 more dresses. Now we have a little bit of an interesting thing. We've moved from the mountaintop down to the pushing and the shoving once again. I'm going to take more than what I really need or want or am guided to take. I'm moving back into the pushing and shoving. But you know, God is with you in every single one of those moments anyway. We separate out. We separate out. I've been taken back to that mountaintop many times since that first meditation. And I do my best to sit with Jesus the Christ. Sometimes I'm halfway. Sometimes I'm still meddling a little too much. But I've learned that if I will come up and stay in the cool, once in a while someone will join us. Once in a while there'll be someone who says, the presence of God in my world is more important, as important, and cannot be separated from the matter in my world. And it's really cannot be separated from the matter in my world. The presence of God in my world cannot be separated from the matter in my world. And I'm going to live in that sense of oneness. One day I'll go into meditation, go in that space, and it'll just be so crowded, so packed with people. And that is when that song becomes a reality. When all hearts beat in harmony with the divine. When we all beat in harmony with the divine. So I could give you example upon example of living in the trenches, living in the ravine, you know? And you know, we go in and out of it. We go in and out of that ravine. And we're about growing. So the most important thing is to be aware of where am I making my decisions for growth from? Where am I making my decisions of growth from? Where am I standing in this vision? Someone in the church decided, as a friend, decided that they needed a bigger social life. I need a bigger social life. Got on top of the mountain, started calling people up, and was a mover shaker in the world. And he's having a great time. What if that decision had been made in the middle of the ravine? I need a bigger social life. What would have happened? They would have lost the friends they had in order to force them to the edge of the collective and force them to make a change. Because in the ravine, you learn by the abrupt changes of stress and pressure. That's how you learn that. So it's our choice. Even if we just come a little bit up and out, it's our choice to include God in every change we want to make. Am I making sense? All right. We say all the time, your world is your reality and you create it. There is a collective reality that we live in that we've all created. As you live in joy, you create your reality, but you also affect the bigger reality. You see? So we had our grandest, greatest temperature ever, 106 in Atlanta, and I think it was 109 a couple of cities over the other day. Grandest temp ever. So if I say, God, you know, I love this place. Not so fond of 106. So I really don't want that to become something that I'm going to have to deal with. I want to live in beautiful comfort, be able to move through nature with ease, and just live a beautiful, temperate life in my world. That's my choice. And if I stand there, no matter what happens in the world around me, that will be what happens in my world. I will never be affected by the heat. If 100 of us stand there, do you think we'll ever hit that temperature again? We won't. We won't hit it again. Because 100 people of one united mind is enough to shift the consciousness of the population of Atlanta. That's a lot of people, too. Now, I'm not asking you to get on board with me because your personal choice, maybe you enjoy the heat. I don't know. But I affect, by my choices, the consciousness of the whole. So as we're looking at possible changes, is it good to get all amped up and scared? Maybe it's good to say, you know what, if God's in my matter, God's in everything, And it's going to be great. And if 100 of us said that, will it roll on past us? It'll roll on past us. More than us, and we cannot make a change for the purpose of changing the whole. We cannot do that. That's manipulation. We have to change for the purpose of changing us, changing our relationship, changing our reality. So, the power of the reality we create lies completely within our heart. So you guys want to go within? Yeah. So take a breath and see a beautiful column of light come over you. Father, Mother God, I ask that you bless each one of us. And I ask that this journey be for the highest good of all concerned. And I want you to give yourself permission to go on a journey now. I want you to see yourself being lifted up. See your guardian angel by your side, holding your hand. And as you lift up, you'll just see all of us gathering in the ethers. And we're all going to just float. We're all going to be guided right to that beautiful vision of the mountainside and the ravine. And as you go there, all of us going together with your guardian angel by your side, just become aware that we can move to a space where we can hover above and see the people moving in the ravine. You can see Jesus Christ sitting off to the side in the cool shade of the trees. And from this vantage point, I want you to look down and find you. Where are you in this scene? As if you're looking at yourself from afar. Are you up the mountain? Are you partying in the middle? Yay! Have you stopped to tie your shoe? Where are you? Are you on the bridge? And now I want you to project yourself into that space where you found yourself. If you're in the ravine, go be inside that body. I want you to feel what it feels like. Wherever you find yourself, be in yourself now. And realize this space that you occupy is where heaven and earth meets in you. Heaven and earth meets in you. And I want you to feel the most deep, compassionate love for yourself. I know your journey. I know the challenges you've had. I know your commitment to even be in this moment. And I love you. And wherever you are, I want you to just stand and realize I can choose to change without struggle. Heaven and earth can meet in me at a higher level. And I want you to feel your guardian angel by your side, and I want you to choose where you would like to go. And just go there. Go there. If it's on the bridge, if it's sitting on the mountainside under the shade with Jesus the Christ. Go there. I choose to allow heaven and earth to meet in me here at this level of consciousness. I choose to allow heaven and earth to meet in me here. And feel that lightness in your heart. I do not need tragedy, challenge, or limitation. I change by choosing. And I choose to include God to this letter. Take a breath and really feel the energy. And know that wherever you have ended up is perfect. It's perfect for you. Father, Mother God, I ask you bless each one now. And that as we go forth, we really, truly, truly know you care for our needs. As we walk knowing we are spirit, knowing spirit creates matter, you care for our needs. Take a breath and let's lift back up. Lifting up with your guardian angel, everybody joining together as a group. Feeling like we did good. That was good. We did good. And now let's gently bring ourselves back into this moment. Feel the chair beneath you. And just feel your love for Father, Mother God. With an open heart and a clear mind, I am walking heaven on earth. And we thank you, God. Take a breath. And you can gently open your eyes. How you feel? Did it get a little heavy with all the people coming to sit with Jesus on the side? I was kind of feeling it getting nice and full. Please remember, this is a journey, this life. But it's a journey of your spirit growing, your spirit evolving. And every moment, God is with you. You are the child. Say, yea, God.
Yeah.